Good morning. All right, let's get started here. What we do tomorrow is MT Live. I'll drop the link a little bit, but 12 o'clock tomorrow be another good one. Oh, get registered. All right, let's get some charts up here. All right, thought we'd start by looking at the S&P ETF sectors. So well, back up. Yesterday was consolidation day for the most part, different degrees. You can see the little narrow bars. Let me get the yeah, little narrow range day, what we call a 1, 2, 3. So this is right at this prior pivot high resistance area. So the expectation is take it out after the wide range bar, after the pullback. Expectation is it's going to go up. Now we all know everybody's waiting for those NVIDIA earnings. So we could get another correction bar. That would be great if we do. But things are, well, I just see the Russell came roaring back off of the pre-market lows. We'll get to that. But just looking at these, the industrials had a pretty big down day. So that puts into question to some degree that breakout bar on the industrials. We'd have to look, and this isn't the Dow industrial, this is just industrial stocks, but something in there, or more than just something, got clobbered. Technology has the look of, I'm sure you already see it, but we'll see whether this can be negated. And so we see the same 1, 2, 3. Is it going to break that neckline or up? So NVIDIA is going to drag that around. Communications consolidating. Overall, most things positive, of course. Oil, big trading range. Financials look good. And why do they look better? Well, the wide range bars cleared these pivot highs. So they look like they can go higher. So we'll take a look at those. Materials tends to be very erratic. A lot of whip to the downside and to the upside over the years. But this looks constructive for the moment. Ideally, the wide range bar would have cleared the pivots like the financials did, but it's right there. Consumer discretionary. Right? So Tesla's come back, a few others in there, but that's a clean 1, 2, 3. Interesting, staples fell apart yesterday. Starting to take a look in there. What got beat up so badly? Something gapped down. Most of them not doing. Dr. Pepper got killed. You can take a look at that. KDP that got killed. Looks something like this. Healthcare at the top of the range, wide range bar down. But the depth of that retracement, puts this in our radar to see what it does here. And if it can consolidate up at this range, some bottoming price action. So keep an eye on that. A lot of the REITs look pretty good. Like this doesn't, but there's a lot of REITs, if you look inside them, that look pretty good. And utilities correcting a little bit more. And the theme there has been energy. So we'll see if it holds these pivot lows, what it's going to do today. Looking around at our other that we look at every day. So internals give us nothing, just neutral. It's a good thing these put call ratios came off a little bit, declined a little bit yesterday, rather than continue to move up. So breath is neutral, doing nothing, So this is typical of the pattern that we see a lot of, just a go nowhere day yesterday of consolidation. And so one of the things we talked about yesterday, and we saw to some indices, was a pullback possibly to this minor support area. Now this held up really well. We got to go further back. See right there. I'll show you what I mean. Right here, you can see how the cursor moves with the 65-minute chart. So you got to look a little further to the left than maybe what's right here with such an exaggerated move. But this pulling back close to that area, and you can see. Let's take a look at the Russell. So that was a bit of the laggard yesterday, and that came down even overnight a little bit. Came down to tag that area before it came back up again. But buyers came back in. So this looks like it's going to. Well, is it going to gap below that bar? No, it's going to gap around yesterday's close. Maybe some kind of a retest. See if there's a long in there today. Things can come back. Uh, the the mid caps, had a little pullback, to that minor support area. We'll see if that can get turned around. Overall, yesterday was just for the most part, well, a go nowhere day. Uh, the Nasdaq was strong first thing in the morning, and the spiders they hit the resistance, and when they couldn't continue to move higher, some sellers came in and pushed it back down. It's just consolidating here, not a big deal. Overall, just a running in place type of day. Semiconductors, more of the same. Just an inside day going nowhere. Uh, so, same question: head and shoulders top, or do we just, say forget this stuff? So let's see if I can draw this on here. It's my drawing tool. This Zoom thing sometimes makes me crazy. All right. Give me a second here. All right. So, we look at this, meant that to be white, but just to take it away to talk about what really matters. Because this, in my observation over a long period of time, are relatively, meaning irrelevant. We see it and say, oh, is that a head and shoulders? So what is relevant here? Just putting that out of our sight, out of mind, is this consolidation in this resistance area. So if this can take it out, there's some more congestion up there, but NVIDIA will come out and whatever it's going to do, assuming it's positive, clearing this area, it should be able to roar up into that prior highs there. Maybe make new highs. We'll see how much it moves up. You can see the weekly chart. There were buyers on the dip. It's kind of just doing nothing here overall for over a month. But on a short-term basis, see if this consolidation, which is building or creating a new support area, and we talked about that yesterday, creating a new support area to be able to move back up again. All right. Bitcoin. Yesterday I said, what's up with that? That's bearish, and maybe that's going to be a negative for the markets, and really wasn't early on. So later in the day, I think buyers just threw in the towel. They got impatient and just said, hey, let's get out of the way and see what happens. But that's pretty negative. Gap down under a big green bar and close like that. There's lots of support, but I'm not sure if this is foretelling of something negative for the broader markets that broke down as it did. And interest rates, not doing anything. Same story over the last almost the whole year. Yeah, mid caps we took a look at. Um, you know, go back to them. I think I did. Maybe I didn't. But similar, pulling back to that minor support area. So pulling back yesterday, just a normal type of little pullback. Down day coming into support. Your typical little pullback retracement buy setup. And so can we get, this moving up a bit today? This looks positive, just the beginning of the week. So that red dot doesn't mean much of anything. Yeah. Um, yeah. So Alex is telling me the mid cap, the futures are up, but this typically moves not totally, but somewhat similar. The Russell futures coming off of the low here and into this resistance. So, you know, said the buyers stepped in near that pivot low and pushing it up. So this might be setting up for at least a day trade today. We'll see if he can retrace into this area. S&Ps, same story, building a little support, minor support, chopping around, red bar ignored, maybe a little up move going here. And so Q's not as attractive for intraday for the 65-minute chart, but that could move up a bit. So I'm not expecting very much here today, right? Just based on what I see so far. Um, Short term, I think still consider the long side, building the support. Um, 65-minute chart does have little room to go up. So one of those situations, be nimble. Now, YM was the weakest yesterday. So whatever was the weakest, right? You might normally gravitate toward that as thinking lower, but in an uptrend, bullish market, you go to the weakest, and because it creates that void concept in a smaller time frame, it often shows to be the best one to go to. Now, this is not developed enough at this time, the way I see it, to be thinking long, but it certainly could shape up with everything else, and we get a little up move. Gold was up on the news, and this is a constructive pattern for going up. The president firing that woman for some mortgage fraud or whatever, but people saying, oh, the president's getting involved again with the Fed and its independence. And I saw some news about maybe that's why Europe uh, was selling off, but I don't know. We've seen enough this year that the markets get excited about Trump news, and then it's like, who cares? You know, it's like, whatever. But this is a constructive pattern. This little rounding bottom here and the way it came down, like it could go up. So this might be something. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the way it come down, this big bottom, the big up bar, the consolidation, another up bar above these highs. It's still in the trading range, on the higher time frame, but this is a decent pattern for considering longs. Right? Even could be for a couple of days. We'll see. But when you're dealing with news, supposedly, gold is bottoming out here because of the Fed. Who knows? Anyway, the pattern suggests it's going to go up on a short-term basis if it can clear these highs. And, transports. Down move, little deep into there, but the 65-minute chart. We'll see if it can bring it back up. The typical minor support, 50% retracement. It's a guideline. It's not written in stone, and deeper retracements can come roaring back. That's what red bar ignores are about in bullish 180s and so on. So we'll see how it shapes all up. Yesterday I spoke about the software being weaker, and it can, it had that up bar inside day, and this is rolled over. The 20 is rolling over the top. It's under the 50. So, and Microsoft, surprisingly, well, not maybe somewhat. I mean, they usually come for it, but it failed here. And now it's on the 50. Didn't have a big green day on Friday, and it's just building a shelf here, possibly to drop. So keep an eye on that. Last thing I'm going to look at, I got to do SPX for you, but the fangs are a mixed picture. In the green room early on, I said, hey, put an alert on Apple over here to see if it breaks these lows as some kind of a guidance, and Microsoft as well. Nvidia's in a trading range. Here's Amazon, probably looks better intraday and so on. Google looks the best, Meta. another 123, but a deep retracement. But intraday, it probably looks good. Tesla did great, went up against resistance. These aren't fangs, but you can see I keep an eye on these. So financials decent. Walmart, Costco, interesting. I don't know what the news is, but those sold off, and Broadcom may be a retest pattern. That's one I mentioned in the room yesterday. I said Apple, if it breaks this low, yeah, just send an alert. I mentioned it yesterday as to a guidance as to maybe what the broader markets are doing. Maybe some additional if we get maybe a sell set up in the queues, and this Apple and Microsoft are breaking down. Odds are it's going to keep going lower unless semiconductors just rip higher. So consider that. And spiders and SPX. And we got the 123. Opening a little bit lower, no big deal. So an SPX, nothing touched yesterday because nothing happened yesterday. And down a little. $53. So below 6,400. And so I mentioned that yesterday because we always want something below or above a whole number. And I'm going for the lower ones. It's a little low, but the big difference between those two strikes. We'll just use the higher for be safe. Now this is come in a little bit like it's supposed to, not like last Friday where they went in opposite directions. Pretty tight there on the upside. All right, all yours, Dan.
Morning. Yeah, yesterday was pretty boring, although we were able to enter a few longs on pullbacks, half lots. Drama with Trump firing Cook. It's all CNBC's been talking about all morning, so I'm already sick of it. I mean, yeah, this MDY looks great. Let's see if it can hold here. Thomas, STX. Yeah, there's a closing breakout. Yeah. And I say when the markets get extended, not saying they were wide range breakouts, but this is the type of recipe I'm looking for. A breakout close to support and the 20 MA. So yeah, that looks great. So as soon as we have a bias that the market's going to hold or bullish, then might start nibbling. WBC is the cousin. Yeah, I like STX better. The AB test, but this would be a nicer put spread. 75s for Friday. 15 by 28, so no juice. Aqua. Yeah, it's a multi-bar turn. Gapping up. So yeah, that's a watch. That would be maybe a nice 30-minute high. Put that on the list. Microsoft short. We actually had this as a call spread on this breakdown, and we did not get any juice. But yeah, that remains weak. So I wouldn't do it if the cues are bullish, but if the cues start turning, then that'll be good. Let's look at alarms, AMD. is a put spread over Friday's high. And I left it posted yesterday. I said yesterday, it's probably not going to hit it, but if it does, it'll look fine. And now look at that. What's the high here? 168.53. So yeah, that set my alarm off. Let me reset it. 168.54. Yeah, I hope it doesn't gap over it, but our put spread is fine. You see low alarm DLO. We have a break even stop in this. Just reset the alarm. SXT. Just kind of a small little bear flag from a breakout failure. This could be a day trade. Looks like it's, it's still in an uptrend, but maybe heading down to the 50. PDI. We're long calls. We sold a third in the strength yesterday. And Jivo, we're long stock and trail mode, so it's fantastic. I mean, it's just such a beautiful, perfect pattern. Igniting gap on volume. I'm assuming it was earnings. Pullback, minor support. Above all these MAs, made the turn. It's perfect. I mean, that's where you need education and the confidence to say, I've seen this picture so many times. You just hit the button, put a stop under the tail and manage. And I think that's it on alarms. PDM. This is a go over yesterday's high. Reset the alarm. Yeah, I got an alarm at 8:20, but yesterday's high looks good. 1, 2, 3. All right, a couple earnings here, not many. 37. So this is a gap breakout. So that's bullish. You can watch that on a pullback. This opening flat, but looks like a short. Daily, weekly, monthly all look lower. Oh, this shows it gapping up. All right, so that's good. So let me set the alarm here at 5:43. So if it gives up that gap, I think this was a typo. I didn't get the right symbol because I don't think I had earnings, but nevertheless, it's a 1, 2, 3. So I set an alarm at 1:43 on that. Dairy Queen. See what it does. It was down, now it's up. Could be a 30-minute high or a put spread. City trends. Is this city like Citibank? CITI. Closing breakout, bullish weekly, monthly, gapping up. Well, it's gapping up $3, so that's a problem. Well, you need a pullback. We got two banks here. BNS is a 1, 2, 3. That looks good. Gapping over those highs. Bank of Montreal's 1, 2, 3. All right, so this one I'm going to set an alarm at 1:15. This one's not the gap is not as strong as the other one. 1:15. All right, these are just miscellaneous stuff now. STZ got a downgrade, but that looks like a short. Look, all time frames, it looks horrible. That's a consolidation and a downtrend. See, you had a W bottom here. I remember. I think we were trading that. That's a textbook W bottom. Tried to break out. Tried to break out. And looks horrible. SLV silver is an ETF. I have an alarm at 35.25. Pelletier down a little bit. It's like a day trade short here. This void. But we're watching it for retest, and maybe it'll turn into a 5-bar turn, 10-bar turn. Who the heck knows? But it's a watch. Snap looks horrible. That looks like a continuation breakdown, all time frames. Set an alarm at 7. That was an earnings gap down too. I remember we had a condor on that. You have to weigh against us, and we still made money. Circle looks like a beautiful day trade short. Look at that. Look at that 15-minute chart. I mean, it could go to 100 for a swing. I remember mentioning this over here. I think I said 150 was my first target, 1.25 was my second target, and now my third target's 100. So that looks great. Day trade short, maybe just 5-minute low. I'll put that in the window. Myrna, I just had an alarm go off. I posted this on Telegram. This is a short watch also, but it's a bio. It's not a good swing though, with all the support here, but another day trade, bearish 15. Look at Tilray marijuana. I missed this yesterday. We bought MSOS when it exploded over here for the ETF ladder. We bought it over it, or I forget. I think we bought it on this buy setup right here. But now, it's a bull rectangle, and we're actually in cron. So we're long this in the advisory letter, opening flat. Slon, I could still this go by the ticker, so it's Ultra Solana. But look, it's fairly recent. So Solana now is getting some players. This thing's breaking out. So this could be a day trade long. I watched it go up there. So it did go up to 150 this morning. And now it's backed off. So it's only gapping up a dime, which is perfect. If it gapped up to 135, it would be too big. So that could be a 5-minute high. Put that in the window. Now look at Trump here, DJT. Look at that igniting bar on the pre-market 15. Look at Trump. That's an igniting gap. So let's watch that. Shop. Shop I posted as a long over yesterday's high. That circle CRCL, I like 5-minute low. $143.18. Microsoft, yeah, Microsoft, yeah. Yeah, you could do 5-minute low. Yeah, still looks weak. AMD looks good. So look at BMS ripping here. Nah, gap's too big now. The BMO, my alarm at 115 went off right at the open. Yep, That was a nice gapper. I just don't like gap and goes. You got to be so aggressive, but you know, aggressive. The move can go can go in your face too. So that was a nice gap. 1, 2, 3 right there. So when we talk about MT Live tomorrow, trading the open and the close, obviously we'll be talking about gaps among other things. Yeah, we're in deck. Let me set a low alarm at 112. Watch that. Deck. We sold a third yesterday in the strength. EM. That's just a little low alarm, but nothing. Circle. No. Say that I mean, let's say that's another reason why I just don't like trading in the 5 minutes because so many false moves. But now that made a new low and snapped back, then I like it better. You short the 5 minute low now. Stop over this base, pre-market base. That's your trade. ENR. Get gap to the stop, but I'll reset it. All right, Q's got a bid here. I see Cisco ripping. The fangs aren't doing much. Tesla, we had a nice put spread on Tesla and took our money yesterday. I mentioned the weekly yesterday. I love this weekly. I think it can go to 400 myself. I just can't buy here at the top of the range. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Tilray. Yeah, my BAT21 friend told me this morning he has 7,000 shares. So his average price is 46 cents. I can't believe he sat through all these pullbacks. I mean, but he sure gives things a lot more room than I do. Man, this STZ, it's, I'd like it better if it closed like this, then you can short the low tomorrow. Snap. It looks like it is just hanging on by a thread. Is what this looks like to me. Set an alarm at 698. EWBC alarm. So 1, 2, 3. That looks great. Look at a 15-minute chart. Did not sell off with the market yesterday afternoon. So that's relative strength. That looks great. I'll set a new alarm with 104.35. It's a regional bank. Look at circle, middle chart there, starting to break down again. I said 5-minute low. $105.30. Our RSI Nice, slow and steady. We're in this. Check the stop. Gold up alarm. Oh, wait, we're not in RSI. I guess I had it on my list. Oh, yeah, we are. My bad. My bad. Yeah, we got a break even stop. 2030. So I'll just set new alarms. 2135. 2070. Let's go, but no pattern. IBM, I see moving. They did. Oh, I think I read they did a deal with AMD. Cuervo Gold. Yeah, we did a half lot yesterday, but yep, that's another example where the 15 is holding really well. Gold alarm. But that's a mess. KC in the Sunshine Band. This is, we did a put spread yesterday.